So ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon and welcome to the retirement ceremony for Coach Bill George. I'm Dr. Dan Rose, Director of Athletics at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy, and I'll be your master of ceremonies this morning. Thank you for joining us. Please take this time to turn off or silence your cell phones and other mobile devices, and also, in an effort to maintain the safest environment possible, we ask that you maintain social distancing and wear a mask throughout the ceremony. Please rise to the arrival of the official party and remain standing for our national anthem. Now, Bill George, U.S. Coast Guard Academy football arriving. Now, Coast Guard Academy. Thank you. At this time, we're going to introduce Commander Saul Ryan, U.S. Navy Chaplain, who will be delivering today's invocation. Please remain standing.
Let us pray. Eternal Father, we ask your presence upon us as we gather today to celebrate the retirement of Coach Bill George. Lord, for the past 21 seasons, he has coached and mentored too many to be counted service members who have gone out and served in the Coast Guard, protecting the freedom we all come to cherish. Whether I'm in red line teaching them leadership or behind closed doors, giving them encouragement and teaching them individual accountability, he has done more for his share of developing many of our current and future leaders. So in these next few moments, as we say prayers, speak words on his behalf, may he know beyond a shadow of a doubt how thankful everyone here today is for his service with this academy. Amen.
Thank you, Commander Saul Ryan. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. So retirement ceremonies are time-honored traditions in the military that formally recognize the completion of valued service for our military and civilian personnel. They mark the departure of our ship-based colleagues who have faithfully served our country in the United States Coast Guard. We are assembled here today to pay tribute to Bill George, who is retiring after 21 years of faithful and honorable service to his country. Today marks the completion of his service to the federal government and to the thousands of cadets he coached and taught who have gone on successful careers in the Coast Guard. This also marks the beginning of new endeavors to Bill and his family explore the horizons and limitless opportunities that retirement will provide. I'd like to recognize and welcome Bill's wife, Nancy George, to the Promenade Island. Bill's brother, Dan George, and Bill's cousin, Gina George. I would also like to welcome the 8 and 9 former directors of athletics, respectively, Dr. Ray Seelig and his wife, Kathy, and Mr. Tim Fitzpatrick. his family and friends, thank you all for participating in today's ceremony. Both to those that are attending in person as well as those that are joining us via our live stream. You know, I know when we had talked about this, we weren't sure a couple months ago if we would be able to gather like this at all. And I know that Bill had kind of resigned himself to the fact that he was just going to kind of ride off into the sunset. And I think that this was too important for all of us to let that happen. So I'm really excited that the governor is allowing us to have this gathering of this size. We have people here, but also the fact that we're able to live stream this event, so that anybody that's ever been a part of this program, this is a program of roughly 70 to 80 athletes a year, you know, for the last 21 years, are able to tune in and take part in some degree. So before we continue, I want to take this opportunity to talk briefly about the honor of a colleague, a mentor, and a friend, so many of us here today. Bill George is a 1980 graduate of Ithaca College, where he was a 4-year football starter and center for legendary coach Jim Butterfield. George is an All-American and co-captain of the 79 team, which won the national championship during his senior year. He was also a 2-time qualifier for the national championships as a member of the Ithaca wrestling program. Prior to his time here in London, Coach George served coaching tours at Ithaca, Princeton in 1984, and 2 years as a graduate assistant coach at the Ohio State University. Bill joined the CGA Athletic Department and Physical Education faculty in 1999. He set our program record for most wins as the head coach in 2013. Bill was named the New England Football Conference Bogan Division Coach of the Year in 2007 after leading the Bears to their second consecutive Bogan Division championship. Under Bill's leadership, the 2006-2007 teams were a perfect 7-0 division play for 2 straight seasons. Bill was inducted into the Ithaca College Athletic Hall of Fame twice, first as an individual and again as part of the 79 championship football team. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you will agree Coach George has had a truly remarkable career from start to finish, a career marked by excellence at every level, both regionally and nationally. At this time, I'd like to introduce Mr. Jay Driscoll, U.S. Coast Guard Academy Assistant Football Coach. Jay's been on the staff at CGA for 28 years. Please welcome Jay Driscoll.
Be here without Bill. Wouldn't have the opportunities to coach the athletes at the school without Bill. Bill came in 1999 and then I discovered staffs and Bill kept me on. Went home that night and I said, wow, I feel very fortunate. I got a lot of memories of Bill, and I don't want to go through all because they're out of context and there are some more inside jokes, staff. But they run through my head as I knew he was retiring, and I just thought about some things like that. I remember our first, his first victory was 1999 against Springfield College, this school. We won 31-20, I believe. It's our first victory, and I remember it. I said, wow, this is the first victory we had coached, which is meaningful. I always tell the players that the convention would be the last day to cross that white line out of the field for practicing games. It was the last game for coaches too. And our last game this year was Kings Point, very important game. And I remember sitting in the booth thinking about, wow, this is Bill's last time on this field. And I got a little emotional around the third quarter actually. And I was thinking about, I'm not going to be with this guy, working with this guy anymore. And I actually lost my train of thought. I was thinking about that. And we always thought the season after season was staff to stay together, but that can't be. And we know that eventually everything ends. I got a full few bullet points about Bill. First, I got every emotional feeling that a man can experience with Bill. Humor and sadness, we've had some anger, we've had some, joy, a lot of emotion. Bill's a very emotional guy. Bill's a very intelligent man. Bill has a lot of humility, and Bill has a lot of humor in him. Makes a lot of jokes about himself. He was always making jokes about the team. He used to say we have to prove ourselves. You know, we can't tell anybody how good we think we are because, you know, that's part of our code. You know, when he told the players, you're never going to beat a game, you don't have to fight to the last minute. You're co-star. We're not going to go in and blow anyone out. And Bill said that, and he meant it in the most positive ways because he knew they would fight. Bill knew that. He believed sincerely that in any contest, our players would play as hard as they could till the end. And he believed that. He talked about marriage, about breaking news today, what we should eat. On the road trips, Bill was a big food coach. Meals were very important to us. I thought about Bill coming to a hotel with enough clothes to outfit 6 coaching staff, so we always use an acting dress for the sharp. The final thing I'm going to say is when I think of Bill, I think about family. And I remember Bill leading his father down in the field and taking his father to the locker room and helping him shower and dress. And I know how much he values his marriage to Nancy and his love to go to Lyle. We're all family men in this place. Bill's staff is all people who love family. And I think Bill knows that. I don't think Bill would have anybody on staff who didn't love family. And co-star is his family, and the players are our family. And that's why we call each other brothers out there. We were always a priority for Bill. The players were always a priority. The coaches were always a priority. His family. So he has so many people to take care of in his career here. And he took care of them all. And I'm really getting kind of choked up. I don't get emotional about this all the time, but I'm really going to miss Bill. I think the final thing I'm going to say is Bill's leading the program in great hands. He brought a man in here, he brought right before the CC and Dana Fleischman, but he brought CC in, and CC is eventually going to be a shot in the program, and he's going to do a fine job. And Bill knew that. If you hire fine people, I think it's an important thing. And he hired CC. And I think the only reason CC stayed here is because I think he loves Bill and I think he loves this place. Because CC's going to go anywhere in the nation to coach. But he's going to take care of the Coast Guard football program. So Bill left us in good shape. So I'd like to wish Bill, Nancy, and Lionel all the best. You'll always be my friend. You'll always be one of the people special in my life. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Jim. I would now like to introduce Mr. Ray LaFleur. Ray is president and head men's lacrosse coach as well as the offensive coordinator for the football team. Please welcome Ray LaFleur.
I'd like to thank everybody again for thinking of me and the opportunity to speak today. Over the years, I sort of have been the keeper of the gate to the Coast Guard football alum who recall famous Bill George quotes. And they come back to me and I have an Excel spreadsheet that now has multiple tabs. You have the suitable for all audiences tab, you've got the old line tab, you've got the defense tab, you've got the coaches tab, and you have all these fantastic quotes. Far exceeds any book I've read in the world of Yogi Berra and his quotes. But in the lighter side, in 2006, when we were rising up and we were putting out a really good football team, we went over to Bridgewater State. It was the first time we had ever been to Bridgewater. And they have a unique locker room situation. You go over to Bridgewater, your locker in the phys ed locker room. And then you got to get back on your bus, and then you have to drive over to the field. And it's through a neighborhood or two. And you could conveniently get lost. So Bill's always, before we get off the bus and get in the locker room, Bill's ready, CCR, what's the times, what are the times? All right, coach, we got, it's 8 minutes to the field, blah, 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 blah. We get in the warm-up room, 5 minutes off gun, the camera goes off, the kickoff goes, we'll play. We need about an hour to get over to the field and get the whole thing going. So we loaded up the bus, the kids got on, Bill's hurrying the kids up the bus, the last kid, some kids over here grabbing a power bar, Bill grabs the power bar, get everyone on the bus, and we're on the bus, and now we're waiting for somebody from Bridgewater to get on the bus and to lead the bus driver over to the field, because we don't know where we're going. So we're waiting, Bill's getting all anxious, and out of nowhere, a kid gets on the bus with a staff shirt, and he sits right between me and Bill. And the kid says, driver, we're going down the street, we're going to make this left. We go down the street, make a left, with two buses are meandering their way through Bridgewater, Mass. And then the kid takes us on another right and goes to the left, and next thing you know, we're down a dead-end street with two charter buses, and Bill's like, hey, you know where you're going. And the kid's like, I was after her going, I see her wrong left-hand turn, the buses back out. And the kid brings us back into town. We go through downtown Bridgewater. We hang a right. Bill's over on the other side of me, and he's seething. And at some point, it hits me that I don't know if this kid works for Bridgewater. I think this might be a frat kid who jumped on the bus and drove us around. So Bill's holding it together. We got over to the site to play the game 50 minutes later. We are 10 minutes before kickoff, and Bill storms off the bus to the referees, and the refs go, Coach, the game kicks off in 10 minutes. Get your team on the field. And Bill goes, by God, this kid from Bridgewater got on the bus and he led us around the kingdom come, and this kid right here. And in that point in time, that the referees got off the bus, we got off the bus, and Bill talked to the refs, we saw the red-shirted, staff-shirt kid from Bridgewater sprinting across the field, running away, and the kid had got us, and he got Bill's goat. So Bill some way negotiated that we could have a half-hour warm-up, and this whole thing, and that was the winning edge, and we wound up beating Bridgewater 21-17 to stay in that undefeated 2-year streak. So in that, I guess, story is, to me, the swing and the adaptability of Bill. Because somewhere always in his back pocket was a moment to smile and laugh. I think the 21 years that Bill's been here, 22 years, and the 31 years that Bill and I go back, I think compassion, I think instilling brotherhood, and I think family and those values have been very well portrayed to the many, many graduates and fellows who play football for Bill. I also think those same values were portrayed to the litany of Coast Guard cadets who were in that group of kids who struggled with the PFE. And Bill helped coach them up every day to get them to pass that PFE. So I feel strongly that what Bill instilled for the 22 years here and the brotherhood that he's put out into the fleet truly reaches all the corners of the Coast Guard and is really just a special thing to be a part of. So with that, Bill, after 31 years of working together, one of my best friends on earth, I love you, and the best of luck.
Thank you, Rick. I would now like to introduce Mr. C.C. Grant. C.C. was named the 16th head football coach at CGA on March 23rd. Please welcome C.C. Grant.
Good morning, everyone. I appreciate this opportunity to speak at Coach George's retirement ceremony. I first met Coach George in 1992, and I'm pretty sure he won't remember this. But I was a head JV coach in my alma mater school, and Bill had come over to help coach the game between Portland and his JVs. I believe at the end of the game, we shook hands and referred to me as CJ. So the guy I met 2 hours ago didn't remember my name. So that was a surprise, and I never knew or expected I would see Paul in another summer, some 7 years later at St. Bill George, asking me if I would be interested in a job opening at the Coast Guard Academy. As a matter of fact, I had no idea what made me take the job. I wondered why the O-line coach had attracted me on the football camp I was working with at the time. position he had as an offensive coach. I accepted his offer to check out the academy, applied for the job, was rewarded the position a week before the cadets actually showed up at camp, and the rest is history. In the last 21 years, Coach George has been an absolute joy to work for. Through the good times and the not so good times, this demeanor never changed. The determination to make the football program never wavered. In those early days, we had some rough times, only winning 2 games in our first 2 years. As big as the 2 wins were, beating nationally ranked Springfield, and the following year defeating nationally ranked RPI, we were still a struggling program. Bill, you kept us together, you kept the program together, you stayed positive. It's because of your leadership, your upbeat attitude, that we never turned on each other. You encouraged us to work, to find a way, and to continue to coach our players hard on and off the field. We did that and it worked. So to go from winning 2 games in our first 2 years to winning back-to-back division championships in 2006 and 2007 is truly remarkable. To see what the program was when you took me first to Lord, to see what has happened, to see what it has become is amazing. You took every cadet that's ever stepped on the field for you. You made them all feel like they were part of the team, no matter their level of talent. I'm so very proud, excited, and humbled to follow you as head coach. I can only go back and up to the high standards that you've set. Last but not least, I would like to take a moment to say thanks. Thank you for your leadership, for your kindness, for your friendship. I'm going to truly miss you. I'll miss your sense of humor. I'll miss the way you can tell, that only you can tell stories. I'll miss working for you. I'll miss our Friday nights before away games just hanging with the other coaches. I'll miss the long Sundays in the office and the Monday night meals with Mr. G's or wherever we decide to play from. Most of our Coach George, I'll just miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Cece, for your remarks today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, a special presentation from Coach George from assistant football coach Lieutenant Eric Gerken and recent graduate football program ensign R.J. Rubisky. Bill, if you could please join Lieutenant Gerken and Ensign Rubisky at the podium, right here in front. You guys can step forward with the photos. So our national ensign was flown over the United States Coast Guard Academy in London, Connecticut on June 23rd, 2020. For Coach Bill George to honor him in recognition of his 21 years of dedicated service. Members of the Athletics Division attended the ceremony last month, and that flag, along with a certificate from the Department of Homeland Security, will be presented. That will be presented at this time and will be kept over here for the future pickup. Thank you, Lieutenant Gergen and Ensign Rubisky, on behalf of the CGA Athletic Division. I would now like to present a special gift to commemorate Coach George's time as the 15th head football coach from the Athletics Division. So, Bill, Superintendent of the Coast Guard Academy, Admiral Bill Kelly.
Coach, just thanks for your work. It's always neat to look inside the coach's room and hear about stories. And I can only imagine Friday nights way through, sitting around listening to Coach George and others tell stories. To our coach, good to see you. Gabby, thank you for being here. Tim, thanks for joining us. Former coaches, Coach Barry, thanks for showing up, being here today to support all our coaches up top. I'm just going to take a moment, and I do want to just thank all the athletic staff, top to bottom. We are going to rely on you more, probably than we ever have over the next 100 or so days as we move into bringing the Corps cadets back on board our campus. We will not have athletics competition per se against other schools over the next 100 or so days, but we are going to rely on you to provide us an opportunity to give these cadets an opportunity to compete in a sport that they enjoy competing in, train and prepare in the new strength and conditioning center, and also do those other sports through the intramural opportunities that are going to be provided. So we're going to lean on you a lot, and I know you're going to deliver, and I thank you for being here today to support Coach Stewart, and I thank you for supporting us as we go forward during this very challenging time. And so thank you to everyone who's joined us today, both here and online, out in TV land. And I'm certain if we were at a different time and place, we would have packed this hall to honor Coach George and his amazing accomplishments as our winningest head football coach and his tireless dedication to the academy. Nancy, one of the things Nancy and I always notice at retirement ceremonies, when we're not wearing masks, is the fact that the spouse is usually the one smiling the most. And Lila, I would say that the sons and daughters are also Lila. I can tell she's smiling right now. So I just want to thank you because we know how much you gave up, and how much Lila you gave up to allow your dad and your husband to do the things that he loves doing. And this is as much today about you as it is about Bill. So I want to make sure, I'm going to put these up on the table. This is my coin. It's the Coast Guard Bear Paw that's out there in the center of the field. But I want to make sure that both of you have my coin. Coach, you probably don't remember the first time we met. It was November of 2006, just after the Bears lost to Curry in the NEFC championship game, 34-28. And I was here with my two boys, one who ended up coming back here as a student and a cadet, and is now a lieutenant in the Coast Guard. And the other one went off to Springfield College, and he thinks very highly of you during his internship here at the academy. And my boys and I we're up in the stands on that cold, gray November day, as we usually were here, and we saw our Coast Guard Academy Bears literally leave it all out on the field against a team that was a lot bigger than them, a lot faster than them, probably a lot stronger than them, but didn't nearly have the heart that they did. And I was just so impressed. I was so proud as an alumni, as a Coast Guard Academy Bears fan, that I wanted to come down and be a coach because I had never met him before. Made my way down and kind of hung out just outside the door here. And Coach was making his way off the field. And you can tell he left every ounce of his energy, his commitment, his passion for those young men out there on the field. And I just shook his hand. I don't even know if I got words out of my mouth. I was just so proud of you because I know what it takes as a leader to prepare your team to compete at that type of level, whether it's out there in the Coast Guard or it's here on the academy. You were exhausted, you were spent because you left it all out in the field. I just walked away with my boys. We all thought that's the kind of coach that we would like to play for someday, or I would like to play for when I was here. So I was so proud to be associated with this institution from that day, and every game I've watched since, I knew a little bit more about what you were doing and how you were instilling that sense of pride into the young men who were out there on the field. And then we came back and had the opportunity to come back here as a superintendent. Nancy and I showed up on campus last year. We truly had the opportunity to get to know Nancy and Lila just a little bit more, but really so to see you up close and personal. And the notes that they provided me for today, they talked about the 400 student athletes that Coach George had the opportunity to impact. It goes way beyond 400. I think 400 was a rough estimate of the number of players that you had. But what we really learned is that Coach George impacts all of the cadets because you have true love and appreciation for what we're trying to do here as we develop leaders of character for service to the nation. So your impact was just not 100 yards or 120 yards out there on that field, but it was really across the 103 acres. And I can't thank you Coach, we're going to miss you. Nancy, we're going to miss you in Lila as well, but my sense is you're going to show up again when we start playing again, and we're all praying that, we know it's not going to happen this year, but maybe it'll be in the spring, and maybe it'll be next fall. Let's hope it's next fall. And we look forward to seeing you on Saturday afternoons out there and getting more of the field. So we say at the Academy, we're the home of the Oscar Court of the world's best Coast Guard. And Bill, you helped make us the world's best Coast Guard. And you will always be welcome back here at your home at CGA. So thank you, as we like to say, Semper Paratus and forever. Go Bears! Coach, if you were really joining me, that's the four records.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you would please rise for this presentation. Attention to award. Mr. William A. George is awarded the Civilian Service Commendation Medal for outstanding achievement while serving as the head football coach of the United States Coast Guard Academy from April 1999 to July 2020. Through skillful, respectful leadership and impeccable character, he orchestrated the recruitment, retention, development, and eventual graduation of over 400 leaders of character into the Coast Guard's Officer Corps. Over his 21-year career, Coach George facilitated some 5,000 hours of both on and off-field practice and approximately 3,000 hours of game time coaching. The insight, care, and passion with which he coached are deeply appreciated by his cadet athletes and emulated by his peers. Coach George's dedication and devotion to duty are most heartily commended and are in keeping with the highest traditions of the United States Coast Guard. Given this 23rd day of July 2020, signed William G. Kelly, Dear Admiral, Superintendent, U.S. Coast Guard Academy. Coach George, don't go anywhere. Thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, this time I'd like to invite to the podium our honorary 15th head football coach of the U.S. Coast Guard Academy, Mr. Bill George. Bill, the podium is yours. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a seat and get comfortable.
Thank you very much. I hope in the next 20 minutes, I honor the United States Coast Guard. I don't believe that I should be honored. I know it's tradition, but I should be honored. I'm going to thank a few people first, and then I'm going to share a few stories, and I'm going to share a couple of deep and personal stories which I've shared with no one, not even my wife. First people I must thank are my grandparents, and they taught me not to accept honor. My grandfather on my mother's side, when Cody came to this country and was dropped off at the age of 15 and left. He married my grandmother here 105 years ago it was. He married my grandmother, she was 14 at the time. They started a wonderful life, wonderful stories and tragic stories along the way. My grandfather on my father's side of the family came over on the Lusitania about 105 years ago. He had to leave his wife and 2 children because he didn't have enough payment for the voyage. And then the Lusitania turned around from Ellis and was sunk, and he was separated from his family. And that's the story of my grandparents who I must thank. My aunt and uncle, Esther and George, my cousin Regina, who brought my parents down here for many years when they couldn't even drive, started a restaurant in the late 1940s. And my mother and father, like Regina and her family, lived above the restaurant. I was born in the restaurant. I grew up in a room like this, living in houses above the restaurant like this. That's how we grew up. My father spent his entire life as a bartender. My mother spent her entire life as a waitress. My father was a mathematical genius. My mother would have been the most phenomenal government major in the world. She was well-read. She was baptized in 2 religions, but her political views were in deep contrast to that. She said things to my brother and I that even to this day are so far left. She would have been a phenomenal president. She was an amazing individual who pounded There's nothing but spinal surgery now. My parents watched me win a national championship. They watched me on the sidelines as a coach for one. They saw me in the Big Ten. None of that mattered. When I came here, this was like being at one of the top 10 medical schools in America to them. This was bigger than the Green Bay Packers or the New York Giants. This was bigger than anything. And as Regina brought them down in the final game, I'm glad they got to share paths. They were married, but they didn't have children later, which was odd for people in the 1950s. And so they got to cross paths with Lotto. And I was 52 years old, and Lotto was less than 52 seconds old. And I knew as I looked down on her in the living room that she was the heart and soul of my life. And if she is the heart and soul, then Nancy is most certainly the love, and the meaning, and the brains, and most certainly the function of my life. And I thank her for that. I would not have survived that long. I must thank Jim Barfield. I played for him, and then I went back and coached for him. He preached two things: class and family. That is all he preached ever. When I went back and coached for him, a young freshman came into my office and presented me with a dilemma, and I took it into Coach Barfield's office. And he said to me, remember something when you advise people. Always keep in mind this: life is short, be happy. A year after he won a national championship, and a year after he was named American Football Coach of the Year, I stood by him in his final year, the same age as me, and watched him suffer with Alzheimer's disease. That year never left me, and being a coach at 62 in perfect health, but with Lila, and witnessing that, and crying so many times during that season, I wanted to walk away when I was young. I had that in my mind. I must thank Ray, Cece, Dana, Jay, and Pat Knowles. There are so many other coaches and officers that enlisted, even here today, that have coached with me. But those people started with me, and we stayed together. People think of Ray as a go-getter, 100-mile-an-hour genius coach. I will sum Ray up in one explanation. I hadn't seen him in 3 months, and all he says to me is, God bless you, Bill. That's why you coach with a person for 30 years. His heart is before all else. Cece, I didn't know you a little better because I knew the two coaches you worked for, and I do remember meeting you on the college field. It is an honor to be replaced by Cece Raymond. That's the greatest thing I can say about it. It's an honor. I'm being honored to be replaced by such a fine human being. Jay has brought humor and brought me grounded to life. Dana has brought patience to the organization. They have been true friends. We raised our families, we married parents, we went to their weddings. Pat Knowles has volunteered for 20 years as a retired officer, never taking a penny. So I thank them for their dedication to all of this. Without them, I couldn't. I must thank Shakira Hassan, who is here for her coaching of the weight room. She's done a phenomenal job. I'm going to leave some things out of city athletic people, and I can't thank everyone. This is the most cohesive athletic department in America. But 6 people have stayed here and supported me the whole time. Bruce Cobb, Art Lindell, Andrew Stewart, Lyle, Jason Sutherland, Bob Long, and support staff for the football program all those years. Pete Barrett was a backbone to me in my early years here. Pete, I was striving as an NCAA coach, but when people showed up at the restaurant, they were hungry. My mother, my ancestors, they gave them food. Pete Barrett is that kind of person. I have to thank Vicki for all of the wonderful things she has done for my family. Vicki Fulkerson in London today. The 4 athletic directors, Chuck Mills, who hired me, Ray Sequin, Tim Fitzpatrick, and Dan Rose. They all of them, are very different in their personality, yet every single one of them has one trait that stands above all others: patience. And we all know that patience leads to understanding, and understanding leads to compassion. They not only showed that to me, but they taught it. Wonderful. Let you meet with an AD, your football coach, a lot. I will say one quick football story about our first game. We were here, we inherited a program that was 1-9. They had lost the previous year by 50 points in a couple games at halftime. We had 75 guys in the program. We got here in the spring, all us coaches. We had 75 guys on our team, 2 quarterbacks, and nose guard that was a diver on the school team, and now we were playing a team in the top 20. I saw one of the young men the night before the game. He said, "We're going to win tomorrow, Coach." I know that Coach Grant had a trick formation plan, and I know that Coach LaForte had a fake punt plan, and I know that we're now one of the worst teams in America, and we're playing one of the best. And I thought to myself, maybe I've created a flaw in this kid's brain. Maybe I got them believing. We beat one of the top teams in America. It was the only game we won that year. The flaw I learned was not in a Coast Guard player's heart, or any Coast Guard person's heart, or in their brain. It's in their heart. Coast Guard sees a disaster, and they create a challenge. Coast Guard sees chaos and they get organized. Coast Guard sees a tragedy and they create hope. That football team was no different than any other team. The ball bounces funny here. You can be 1-9, it's no different than a few years later when we're 8-1. It is the same young people, it is the same leadership, it is the same character. I tried to figure out leadership as I went through here. I really don't know if I know, but I do know that it has one common denominator, and it is taught here all the time. And that is caring of others. And that is what this academy is about. It teaches you to care about those who work underneath you, those who work alongside you, those who are above you, or those you must work with when you meet your Coast Guard missions. 15 years ago, I was 46, the young man was 21, and he was like everybody else here. He worries about himself as he starts off. He worries about our day, going through squad summer, and somehow the academy transforms him that he is on this earth to do work for others, to believe in others, to make the world better. My favorite part of the day is when the cadets flood out of Chase Hall, and they flood down here, and they're all happy. It's college football time, the NCAA athletics, club sports will work out. And I love that exchange. You run from the footballs, and you may see one person once a week, but they all pay you such respect. And I would see this one particular young man, and he was rushed out. And he said, and I would play a game, the old literary game, good versus evil. And I would say to him, who won today? If he had a good day on that way to graduation, he's now a person, he would say good one. And if he had a bad day, he fell in class, he would say evil one. And on this particular day, I'm right outside the little classroom, the long hallway, and I see him, you might see him once a week. I said, who won today? And he said it was a tie. And being the football coach, I said, if it was a tie, then evil won. He said to me, no. If it was a tie, good one. Maybe all the days are good. Maybe everything is good. And I wasn't quite sure what he meant, but he froze me in my tracks. He went on and he dressed for practice. Did he mean that it's all good here, that I'm lucky I'm here? Saturday wake up and they have a club of honor. Where respect is as common as breathing. Where if the good Lord came down and said, your time is up, you have 1 minute left, put somebody in charge of your child. At this place, you could close your eyes, and the next person who crossed your finger, you wouldn't have a word in the world. That is what this place is about. 6 years ago, when I was 56 years old, I was sitting in that office in the springtime, and a 28-year-old former player came back to see me. And that is also a tremendous time. People walk in and they hug you, and they kiss you, and they show you pictures, and I didn't hang out with so-and-so, and I did this struggle, and the memories flood back. You may not have seen them in 15 years. You may have seen them in 1 year. It's just a tremendous time for all of us coaches. And this young man comes in and says, Coach, I'm coaching football. And he was stationed at a Coast Guard city, a very large city. He was volunteering his time at the end of the day to work at a tough inner city high school. And I said, that's wonderful. He said, yes, we got about 30 guys in the program, and we're going to put in your Coast Guard in a lot less. Well, you better be careful. You only got 35 guys, you got to keep it simple. He said, yeah, I know what you mean, Coach. He said, last year, I had a kid who would come to practice on Wednesday and just show up for a game on Friday. I said, you can't coach football that way. These coaches here, he said, there's a 2-hour practice film. They watch it for 8 hours. They watch a game film 30 times. They spend 15 hours a day organizing practice. How do you run football that way? Well, we're teaching the same things, he said. We're teaching leadership and teamwork, and I'm bringing that kid to the academy, or to the school, and teaching him about the future. And it dawned on me that young man was an example of what this academy is. It works and serves the nation, and then it volunteers in its free time. And it is an example of the basis of every human being, of every religion. I don't care if you're atheist or agnostic. This academy teaches the principles of faith and charity. You just can't be good. They're just not making people good here. They're saying you must take that good to the world. And that is what the academy's purpose is. It is needed by the world. Every August, we are given a report date to come back here. Every single August. 1,900 in the big engineering lecture hall, and they come, they give up that last week of leave before Mac week, and they must appear there, and they bring their 4th class back. Organization, and we'll bring speakers in for social issues. We'll talk about the honor code and what the season will be like. We can't talk to one in the front row. I noticed a young man, he was the first executive, this was 2002. And he kind of looked up at me, and he had a soft, kind of content smile. You wouldn't tell him from any other person walking around campus, unless you knew he'd been on your roster for 4 years. He wasn't any different than any other kid. And I thought that was odd, a content smile on his face. The next morning, I came in. This place is so very beautiful. It's always somewhat sunny. Like the good Lord pushes the clouds away, he wants it to be hot and muggy. But anyway, I come in, it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Coach Grant and Coach LaForte shared an office up there for 15 years. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, and now we can have special teams meetings and football offensive and defensive position meetings. The freshmen will still be in swap summer, but we'll catch them up. And I stop at the top of the steps, and there's that young man, about 2 seats in front of us, and there's no one else in the building but me and him. And I look at him, and he turns his head to me, and he kind of does that little smile, and he doesn't say hello. And it hit me. 18 years ago, 2 weeks from now, it hit me. Who he reminded me of. became a new head coach, and then they shut down the world and you start walking through the woods. I know that your memory plays tricks on your heart, and your heart plays tricks on your soul, and your whole soul plays tricks on everything. But it is clear as the pond in front of me, 18 years ago, I looked at that kid, and I said, that young man has the face of the Mona Lisa. He's going through life, his whole life, with a content smile. That young man is Adam Bryant, who graduated from this academy after playing 4 years of football. He went to flight school. On October 29th of 2009, on a rescue mission out of Air Station Sacramento, his jet, Hercules aircraft, crashed into the United States Marine helicopter. All 7 United States Coast Guard personnel were killed, as were the 2 United States Marines. The Coast Guard has traveled since then many places: Los Angeles, Dallas, Chicago, Columbia, Miami, Philadelphia, New York, Boston, you name it. I have glanced into a million faces. Never once has the Mona Lisa glanced back at me. It was about that time that I realized this field out here is as beautiful as any national park in the world. Its beauty is unmatched. If you sit in those stands, forget about sporting event, and just look across that wonderful lake that is really a river on its way to the Atlantic. The horizon on top of the tree line seems to blend together as if the heavens meet the earth. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. There's water, scenery, and in the short, quick days of November, you can even turn around and watch the sunset go past those old trees and past the chapel on the way west for somebody else. It's a beautiful, beautiful field. One of the most beautiful places on the face of the earth. And I have had the honor of walking on it every single day for practice and games. Cadet Memorial Field. Named after people who wore a Coast Guard uniform and lost their lives before the age of 22. The most beautiful place in the world is in that valley. The most surreal experience I have had in my life occurred after homecoming in 2011, September 24th. We had won the game. I believe it was Apple Stokes' first year. I remember telling you the story about 10 minutes after it occurred. We have won the homecoming game. We have our helmets up. We've sang the alma mater, and you know how homecoming is here. The jets fly overhead, the cadets, the helicopters buzz the stage. Everyone's hugging. 50 years of alumni marching back on, sharing memories, sharing families. It is a magical event. It's a magical event. It's just unbelievable. And now we've won the game, and I've spent about 30 minutes hugging all the people I haven't seen, former players and everything. I'm in the south end of this world. I'm on the right hash. I'm on the 12-yard line. My belt buckle is a quarter turn to the left upright. In an arm taps me on the shoulder. Hi, Coach George. You don't remember me, but I wanted to say hello. And I look down, and it's a lady about the age of one of the way. And at first glance, I didn't remember her. But she said, I'm Matt Cougar's mother. Matt, this is Cougar. I remember you. You've been in this football game for 4 years. Matt was always center. Matt, where is Matt? I haven't seen him graduation about 4 years ago. Where is he? Is he here? I didn't see him today. Oh, no. But today is my other son, Sean's birthday. So I remember talking to Matt the day after his brother, Sean Kruger, a Coast Guard helicopter pilot, on a rescue mission to the state of Washington, crashed, or was in an accident. His helicopter crashed, and he and 2 other Coast Guard personnel lost their lives. Sean Kruger, who I don't never have met, but Mrs. Kruger's here in front of me on her son's birthday. He left behind a white Caleb, who I never met, and 3 children under the age of 10. One was 7 months old. And Mrs. Kruger looks at me and she goes, yes, today is my son Sean's birthday. And my husband and I then over on the other hash line to go post it to her husband, and he's standing here like this, a taller man. She said, we were so distressed all night long. We didn't know what to do. So we got in the car and we drove to the Coast Guard Academy. To be around Coast Guard family, to be around Coast Guard people. That's what she did on the most beautiful place in the world, on the most happiest day of the year. Her sorrow was bathed by Coast Guard people. And I'm guessing that Coast Guard people got her through that day, and then they were gone. I didn't see Mrs. Kruger again until this fall, some 8, 9 years later. It is the weekend of the Gold Star families, of which the United States Coast Guard Academy honors all of the people who've given their life up for the United States Coast Guard. They come in the Academy honors on Friday, and we honor them for the drill parade. And then they come down here, and I walk across the gym, and I said hello to them quick, because after Mrs. Kruger introduced me to all Sean's children, and then they come out on the field with us, and they watch practice. And then we all take a knee, and we listen to them for a minute to that Friday practice, and then we hug them all. And that's, I think, where the expression weeping heart comes in, because I want to tell you something, they're all young. The children are young. The parents are young. The grandparents are young. The sisters and brothers are young. People who died for our nation, for the Coast Guard, are young. So they leave everyone young behind. And that's where weeping heart. If you try to act like a tough football coach or a tough football player, but your heart is weeping as you grit your teeth. It's crying. And then the next day they come and they sit in the stands. They are surrounded by Coast Guard people. And then there's a football game, there's a big crowd. And then they come down and they raise their helmets with us, and we say a word after the game, and then we hug them one last time, and then they go on their way. And I think it is kind of ironic. I've never worn a uniform. I've never served a day in my life. I've had the greatest job in the world, and never once have I been in danger to have a scratch on my body. And yet, those people we honor, those Gold Star people, not the families, but the people they're trying to mourn, they didn't get a flag. They didn't get to give a retirement speech. They didn't even get to do what I did, hug their dearest loved ones goodbye one last time. Or even all those Coast Guard people that lost their lives, they didn't get to say one last time, I love you, to their families before they left for heaven. In the fall of 2018, I knew we had a chance to have a very develop, young people have to develop. You have to stay healthy. Everyone has to fall into place. The senior leaders have to grit themselves at the same time. And in the end, oh boy, we have a team as good as any in America. But something odd happened during that season. Early on, during my favorite time of the day, when the cadets would walk down and say hello to me, they would all say hello. So would the football players, but about 20% of the football players, some of the firsties that year, some of the guys that will be firsties this year, 25% didn't say hello to me. They said something else. About 2 or 3 ways, but it was the same exact phrase. And I thought, are they teasing the old coach? That's not Coast Guard way. It's not Coast Guard way to tease. I know what it is. Even though I'm in perfect health, they've seen me age. They're starting to feel sorry for me. They've seen the films. The gray hair is now all white. And the linemen, they all beat me from drill to drill. And the trainers, they sometimes stand next to me closer on the sidelines. Because the blood rushes in my head when I yell at the referees now. That's it. They pity me. They feel sorry. But if you ask Nancy's parents, Wes and Elmer Raw, or you ask any of my aunts and uncles, or you ask Alani and Laura and George from Miners, New York, or Mike and Mary, Tony and Glens Falls, New York, my grandparents, if you ask my aunt and uncle Esther and George, or my other aunts and uncles, or you ask my mother and father, bartender, the waitress, the people so full of love, the mathematical genius, and my mother who would be president, love this place with the whole women. If you ask them, they would say you're dead wrong. They are paying you the highest compliment that human being could receive. I would walk by them, and I would say, "Hi, Andre. Hi, John." And without missing stride, they would walk by me and say, "I love you." Can you imagine coaching football at a place like this for 21 years? I would leave you with the 6 words that my mother and father pounded into my brother Dave and I. They said to us, "God bless you, I love you, morning, noon, and night." My mother once told my brother and I, it is the only 6 words you ever need to say to a loved one. But more importantly, if you want to make the world better, it is the 6 words you must say to those you dislike. So I will say them one last time as a member of this active community in this short life, but for the first time that we share so many memories ahead and so many moments of friendship. I love you. God bless you. Thank you. Now presenting flowers to my lovely wife and my lovely daughter.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we reached the end of our program recognizing and honoring Bill George and his many accomplishments and contributions to the Corps Cadets and the Academy. If I may, I'd like to ask for a final round At this time, Mayor Ryan will return to the podium to deliver the benediction. Will the audience please rise for the benediction and remain standing for the departure of the official party.
Let us pray. Eternal Father, we call upon you once again as we bring this ceremony to a close. We ask you to be with and guide Coach Bill George, his wife Nancy, and their daughter Lila as they embark on a new journey and find new ways to use the gifts you bless them with. As we say goodbye, may each of us take a part of this dedication to service upon ourselves so that we can serve as Coach Bill has done. We ask this of you. Amen. Go Bears.
Now, Coast Guard Academy, Mark. Now, Coach George, Mark. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the official ceremony. Thank you to all that joined us here, as well as those that tuned in virtually. Out of caution for the community, please continue to wear your mask and maintain social distancing as you depart from our gym. Once again, thank you.